But
Yeah.
my wife was thinking about it.
I'm with Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am too.
So summertime, Florida, no air conditioning, repairman coming again tomorrow. So anyway, good to see everybody. Welcome to our book study group for Monday, July 11th, 2022. Tonight we are concluding the classic You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor. I think many of us have gotten so much from that guy, directly or indirectly. A lot of the stuff we talk about here. I'm sorry, Linda, I'm hearing some delayed moaning or something. I don't know what, there was some sounds, some animal noises. I'm not sure what that was. That's okay. Keep driving, drive safe. But we've gotten so many good things from Bob. And of course, well, I'll tell you what, having read the whole book again, hopefully you all did too. I'm reminded that one of the things that I like most about Proctor was the way he presents, not so much his writing style, but the way he presents and drives a message home. Doesn't quite correlate to the written word the way other authors would. So that's just my opinion about it. But these two chapters we just concluded with, and we're going to be reviewing right now, are chapters 9 and 10. So don't think in reverse. And number 10, the vacuum law of prosperity, which we've talked about in our mastermind group. We've talked about that and given some ideas on what you could do with that. So anyway, who would like to get us started? Light crowd here tonight. We've got a lot of people out doing the summertime thing, I suppose. So any thoughts that you'd like to share on chapter 9 before I get into my notes on this? Don't think in reverse. Not seeing any open mics, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's go ahead and do that. And before I do that, remember our next book, Stop Worrying and Start Living, Dale Carnegie. So we'll cover the first 2 chapters next week. So get on that. Make sure you got a copy. I ordered it on Kindle. So I don't have to wait. All right. And I don't add any additional mass to my bookshelf. So chapter 9, Don't Think in Reverse. He starts with a poem. I'm not too much into poems, but I really like this quote from Leland Val Vanderwall, which was one of Bob's mentors. Let us not look back in anger nor forward in fear, but around us in awareness. This morning when we got together on our general session, I was talking about being present, being in present time. And when I am in present time, I can more readily make good decisions. I'm not engrossed in, filters, interpretations, my story about stuff, right? Being objective and in present time rather than, in my story about, what happened in the past or what might happen in the future and all that. So great reminder right there. But the whole idea of don't think in reverse is about truly releasing the past, like not dragging yesterday into today, hoping to create a better tomorrow, which is what a lot of people do. And that's really where it ends, is hope, right? So stop looking back in your life and worrying about things which have already occurred and which you can no longer alter, right? So objectively speaking, you can't alter that. That's done. Now we can reinterpret, we can do the, on a mental basis, right? We can use, as Neville called, the pruning shears of revision, but that has to do with us. That doesn't have to do with the objective reality of what already happened. And you can't go back and do something different. And I think for a lot of people, it's sure we commit acts that we would regret later, would say, you know what, I erred, I made a mistake. But I think a lot of times it's an act of omission. So not just commission, right, what we did, but omission, what we didn't do, which a lot of times people lament and want to go back and, I wish I had done that. You know what, we got to look forward. All of the great achievers of the past have been visionary figures. In other words, they were men and women who projected into the future. Now, this is a measure of sanity. Crazy people in the insane asylum are going over and over and over again some incident or imagined incident not postulating, not considering futures and outcomes and goals and things that we want to accomplish. And I've said several times that some of the most miserable people that I've encountered are people who have no purpose, hence no considerations for the future. What shall I accomplish? What am I going to create? That doesn't cross their mind. So this is a measure of sanity right here. And so hopefully you're measuring up, right? He gets into a couple of stories, which he likes to do. Now, it says here, pause for a moment and reflect upon the degree to which you have been utilizing this incredible power to improve the quality of your own life and the lives of those people who surround you. So to what degree have we been using, he was talking about the brain here, right? And all the biological research and, synaptic connections and all that. So to what degree have you used that? I found myself, before he said this, I found myself doing that as I was reading, from the experts about how, we've got so much potential. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to look at myself here for a minute. And then he goes ahead and says, go ahead and look at yourself. So right on, perfect timing. I beat you to it, Bob. But that's the thing, is that when we appraise our own use of our mental faculties, and if we're honest with ourselves, there's I think more, we can be more diligent. That doesn't mean it has to be arduous, but we can develop habits by reminding ourselves and having things that prompt us to keep looking on those futures that we're looking to create. Now, you might just discover that you have been telling yourself for such a long period of time that you can't do certain things, that you've actually manufactured a genuine mental block in your own conscious mind. So if we go into agreement with our interpretation of the past or the meanings of it all, right? We love to add meanings to stuff. We can create that mental block, and it can become like this huge mass. But you should remove these mental blocks by putting yourself into a very relaxed state. So he's giving us instructions now. And by then becoming consciously aware that you can do the things you want to do. You probably just don't know how to go about doing them. So there it is. Do we have to have all the answers before we could sit there in a state of faith and expectancy? Do we have to have all the answers? No. And he goes into more details about that as we go through this and the next chapter. I don't know how to reach a goal until I've reached it. The next chapter, he really nails it on that note. Okay, but the point is, don't be waiting for all the how-to stuff before you sit there and focus in a relaxed state and become consciously aware on where you're going. Now, most of us are continuing to live our lives in much the same manner as our grandparents did. And the reason we do this, you will be interested to know, is that most of us have never been trained to measure our true abilities correctly. Again, this is the issue of agreement. Why be like your grandparents? Well, they were, when let's say we were children, right? We had authority figures. We had people who were more able than us, winning to a greater degree than us. And that could have become our benchmark. I agree. That is good and right. Okay. We could have said, okay, that is good for where they're at and right for where they're at, assuming they don't want to go further. But they're definitely demonstrating limitation. Most of us, right? I know that's a generality. So we've got to be able to assess, and we've got to, again, be able to postulate, here's where we're going in the future, not just that worked for grandma. Now, what you see is what you get, true statement, right? Therefore, always look forward into the bright future, which lies just ahead of where you currently are situated. So what you see, and he's not talking about, with your physical eyes, okay, but that which, is on the mental screen of your mind over and over and over again, that's what you're going to get. I visualized recently, a reconditioned pedestrian door on the side wall of my garage. And guess what just happened? Now, I wouldn't have, had the door done had I not saw in my mind, where I wanted it to go. Now, that's maybe a tiny little example. Although, how many of us have thought again and again and again about, some car that you want. This was one of my first goals when I was becoming successful in as an entrepreneur. Was this silver Lexus with the gray leather interior and the walnut steering wheel. I mean, I knew everything about that car. I kept seeing it over and over again. And then I got it in like 90 days. So be careful with this stuff. What you see is what you get. Now, he's talking about people who are stuck in the past. They bemoan and agonize. Thank you. Great words, Bob. They bemoan and agonize over past failures or missed opportunities. There's the act of omission. I didn't do it, right? Which they somehow let slip through their fingers. Unfortunately for them, these individuals maintain such a negative vibration that there's not even the most remote possibility of a positive thought entering their level of consciousness. So throughout the book, he's been talking about different aspects of conscious thought and decision-making, and then subconscious, that which actually makes our choice. Okay, that which animates and is we could say the intermediary between, omniscience and, who we think we are, right? So that innermost belief and beingness. And so if we keep allowing ourselves to pollute the garden, so to speak, then we can't grow those nice, those nice fruits because we're so full of weeds. Next chapter, he's going to talk about pulling weeds. But profound stuff. Now, clearly, if you were to take a picture of the same object over and over again, he's talking about the Polaroid or the metaphor of a photograph. Okay. So you would do nothing more than reproduce the same photograph over and over again. If this is precisely the course which many people set for their own lives. And so yesterday gets to equal tomorrow. Kind of a simple proposition, but if we can think of it in metaphorically and like kind of really assess, is that what we've been doing? Because we already know, very dangerous. You already know, huh? Okay, very dangerous. He was talking to one of his coworkers. She was not enjoying herself one iota. Note that these are the first telltale symptoms of an individual who is without a goal. Remember I said before, miserable person, no purpose, no goal, miserable. There it is. There it is. No mission. So she had to have the money. Well, guess what? You don't have to have the money to go on the cruise. Book the cruise. Quit looking back or looking at what is. So what is based on what? The past decisions that you made. Because looking at present results is a very common form of thinking in reverse. So even looking at, so here's the condition that exists right now because of all the stuff in the past. That's thinking in reverse. We've got to be able to go into a state of disagreement or hit that reset button and say, that was the past. Yes, it's a present result right now based on what happened in the past. But right now, I amend, I correct course, I optimize, I set on a new course. And she went on the cruise that she wanted. It all worked out. Okay, so that now the probable reason that so few people make plans or set goals similar to the one discussed above is that most people are unable in their own mind to figure out how everything necessary will come together. But you must understand, you need not know how everything will come together. So we've said that several times. You don't know how to reach a goal until you've reached it. And he talks about the story of raised $3 million in 3 hours in 3 days. And they sat around and they created this boardroom, and we're just going to talk about how, not how we can't, but how it can. If you can figure out why something you want to do can't be done, by law, you must be able to figure out how it can be done. It's the law of polarity. If there's a up, there's a down. If there's a hot, there's a cold, right? So if there's a can't, there's a can. So think on these things and stamp, next on those ideas that you can't. When anyone calls out an idea which suggests why we can't, everyone must yell out as loud as they can next. This was the boardroom event where they're going to raise $3 million in 3 hours in 3 days. So that'll be our command to go to the next idea. Ideas are like, listen to this, guys. Ideas are like cars on a train. One always follows the other. We will keep saying next until a positive idea arrives. So if we allow that train of can'ts or stops or whatever, right? If we allow that to go, we we get to go down that track. This requires, I think for many of us, it requires constant vigilance, like standing guard at the gate and disallowing those things to take root, because then you know what's coming next. I've told you guys before, I was in a seminar with Bob where he refused to hear any like problem or whatever. One guy stood up in the room and he was like, yeah, this is great and this and that, but right? And then Bob was like, what? Can't hear you. He had to repeat himself like 3 times. And finally he got the message that Bob's not going to listen to anything that comes after, but so he had a great way of presenting. I think we're getting to the end of this chapter. You see, you can have whatever you want. All things are possible when you put your focus on how you can, and next every idea telling you why you can't. This may be difficult exercise in the beginning. Yeah, it is. However, when you persist nexting any and all negative concepts, the flow of positive ideas will roar into your marvelous mind, just like those train cars. We gotta feed ourselves with the positive ideas. I know that may sound terribly simple, but the main idea here is that you've actually got to apply this stuff. Like it's not good enough to just, I read the text, that was nice. Entertaining, I suppose, nice stories. We got to put this stuff to use. Integrity is everything. And to the degree that I have integrity to these principles, I succeed. And to the degree I don't, I don't. What do you guys think of this? Stop thinking in reverse. Any thoughts?
Hi, John. So for me, it's really not, I don't really think in the past, like yesterday's gone, it's fine. It's the present day stuff that I struggle with. And it's just, that looking at your results that you're having today, it's, I know that I have to look ahead and look up, but I mean, it's just constantly, it's just there, and yeah. So it is a practice, and I am getting better at, always thinking positive and, trying to turn my perception around. But also knowing that I have to work with the law is what's going to create the change. Mm-hmm. And I think he said too that, spirit is perfect. So, and energy flows to and through us, and we have to allow it to flow through us. And if we block it, with the negative or the, how did he put it? Just, you're thinking that you can't, you're just not having the faith or the belief. Those are the things that, create, cause you to not get the results that you want. What else was, just that, we have the power within us to change everything. Yeah. And we just have to have the right attitude. We have to be positive. We have to, prosperity. I mean, if every time you have a negative thought, you should have 3 positive thoughts to eliminate that negative thought. Yeah. So it's something you have to work on all the time. But for me, it's present time, not the past. The past is the past. It's gone. Yeah.
Well, what he's saying is that it's very common that people bemoan present situations and based on the linkage to yesterday, right? So if there's subjective and objective, right? So if I could look at, all right, this is a microphone in present time. There it is, microphone. That's it. No thinkingness about it, right? It just is, and that's that. Now, if I attached a bunch of meaning to it, and this is why I have this microphone, and back in the day, and so that's where that's where I could suffer. Now, fortunately, this microphone, it's in my face every day. I don't have there's nothing sticky about it with me. I'm like, hey, whatever, but we're talking about things of probably more consequence in your life, right? So, wow, it takes work, and I'm
It
with you.
does. It totally does. Yeah, it does. And it's constant, I feel like I'm getting better at, just the positive thinking. Just, somebody says something and it's like, no, it's not, that's not real. Don't watch your words, watch what you're saying, turn it around, think this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. And we have to discover who we really are also.
Of course.
Is what he's saying too. Like we are perfect and we have to discover with our mind's eye, we have to see it. So
thank you. Catherine?
Yeah, I thought what Linda was saying was beautiful there about, learning who you are. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this chapter brought to me a lot of, because I was stuck in reverse for a long time, and so it just kind of brought that back, and what a difference it made, just making what's basically a little switch, just flip it. No more. I'm not going to dwell there. I'm moving forward. And what a difference that makes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Linda, I just
cool.
muted you. You had some construction going on, it sounded like. Right. So the idea that that you're conscious of it. I mean, look, we all should acknowledge ourselves, right? Catherine, I'll acknowledge you right now, because the first step in solving any problem is confronting and understanding what the problem is, right? So whereas I think a majority of people never confront the problem, right? Which is terribly frustrating. I hate mysteries. I hate them. I mean, if it's a mystery book or movie or something, that's cool. But like in real life, no, I like knowing stuff, So like, why? Why does it work? Why does it not work? So thank you, Catherine. And yeah, you are making progress and leaps forward. So thank you.
Yep.
All right. Shall we get into chapter 10? Let's do it. Okay. I see a nod there. Let's dig in on chapter 10 here. We may be done early. It's only 23 after, but light crowd tonight. So here we are. Chapter 10, the vacuum law of prosperity. Another friggin' poem. Talked a lot about his Aunt Marg. I'll tell you one thing that I really appreciated about his story here, that he said, it has been a particular joy for me to have had the opportunity of witnessing them apply this new knowledge in such a way that today they're living the lives in an entirely new way. I get great pleasure from, seeing people apply principles and have like cognitions and breakthroughs and all that. What he's talking about here with the vacuum law is that we've already got the potentiality to fill our life with whatever we truly want, but not if we're in our own way. And so tiny little shifts can make an enormous difference. And in one case, his Aunt Marg, who's only a couple years older than him, they pointed to the curtains in her living room and said, "You know something? I absolutely detest those old drapes." And he smiled at her and replied, "No, you don't, Marg. You love them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have kept them so close to you." So if a person remains continually in close proximity with something, be it another person or an object, it can only be because the person is in harmonious vibration with them or it. So the idea that, back to what we were saying before about people who, I'll say it like this, they're in love with their problem. They are not aware per se, but they are in resonance with, in harmony with, on a harmonious vibration with the conditions that they have in their close proximity. And it might suck, but that's where awareness, conscious awareness comes in. That's where study comes in. That's where training comes in, and coaching and all the stuff that we do. So They had their argument, and then they lived without drapes for a little while. They gave away the drapes, and then one day he visited their home, and sure enough, there was the drapes she wanted, right where she wanted them. And little by little, the awareness of this great truth had begun to creep into their consciousness. It wasn't long after this, there was no furniture left in their living room, right? Get rid of the furniture. I've done this a few times, especially when moving, right? It's like, you know what? We're not taking that couch. Just when we moved here, we bought this house and we were moving all our stuff from Arizona. The couches didn't come. No, we're gonna find the right couch when we get there. Just one example. It didn't take long either. So what a tremendous difference. This is Mark talking now. What a tremendous difference a little bit of knowledge can make in your life. You only have to learn a little bit to receive so much. So this is what we were referring to before, and what Bob was celebrating is that, here's just one principle, this vacuum law, and he puts law in quotes. Okay, so maybe not exactly a law, but close enough. But this one idea changed her life when she put it to use after arguing about it and everything else. And now a completely different experience. Clothes closet. Some of you know I've done this. Again, moving is a good way to do this. I know, Catherine, you've got that in your future, right? So do you really, do you even wear this stuff, right? Now, if it's out of season, but you didn't wear it last season, so like these are winter clothes. So of course I'm not wearing it right now. It's summer, but did you wear it last winter or the winter before that, right? Lighten the load and make space for that which you would really like. Fine-tooth comb, and then remove all the clothes you no longer wear. Once you've done this, simply give them away. You must continually be making space for the good you wish to desire. Now, this is not just physical. And he gets into that more here, okay? Also understand that when you give stuff away, fully expect to receive something in return. Very rarely will you receive from that source to which you gave, but receive you must. So don't have the spreadsheet out, okay? We could call this, universal karma or reciprocation. I can't account for it, but it works. All right. Remember also that you're not working with specific individuals or specific things. So this thing to that person, that's not the proposition here. Rather, you're dealing with an infinite power, like Linda talked about, which operates in a very exact way. In other words, by law. So this law applies not only to our physical world, but also our mental domain. So what is clogging up our brain, right? What's clogging us up? We got to make a vacuum so that stuff can flow. Unfortunately, there's a very large segment of the population which has an exceedingly difficult time achieving this end of clearing that out. Because of this, these troubled individuals often entertain opposing and contradictory ideas at one and the same time. They live their entire lives in a state of oscillation, thinking, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it, etc. This mental state commonly referred to as indecision. Napoleon Hill, in one of the last books, it might have been the last book he wrote, called Outwitting the Devil. In that book, he was talking, he mocked up this conversation with the devil, and he's wrestling the devil, trying to get the secrets of how he crushes men. And finally, the devil comes clean and says, if I can get a man to drift through life in a state of chronic indecision, I have beaten him. Indecision. Man, that's rough. And we've all experienced it. But I don't know how. Well, what if I make a mistake? But what will they think? But. Indecision. So now in the mental realm, we hold on to old ideas and old things because we lack faith in our ability to obtain new ideas and new things. So the clinging, the clutching onto, the attachment is due to our own lack of faith in who we actually are, our true self, our bigger self. This, of course, leads to a condition of insecurity, which stems at its root from an inability to understand who and what you are. And a lack of awareness of your true relationship with the infinite power will always leave you with a distorted image of yourself. So this is not the truth. We've been living a lie. This Linda, Lindsay, Catherine, John, this is not who you actually are. You're way bigger, way, way, way. So all this lack and limitation that you've enjoyed demonstrating for however long is a lie. It's not who you are. Now, of course, we're getting into a spiritual conversation here, right? This isn't just, well, what do you mean? Here I am, right? This is me. So he talked about the garden hose, right? The kink in the garden hose. Lots of potential, lots of supply, but only a little trickle on the end. God never expresses himself other than perfectly. Therefore, whatever imperfection does exist, it is always the result of our individual or collective modes of thinking. So we've got to change those filters, right? We got to unkink the hose. The potential is already there. Way, way, way more than what you're aware of, right? So energy must flow through you freely without any obstructions if you are to achieve the good which you desire. So the obstructions are what we're talking about here. Yes, it's nice, the clothes closet, the furniture, the drapes. Nice. But what is the real thing that we're removing here? Our lack of faith in ourselves to actually come up with the solutions. The agreements that we've made, the contracts that we've made in the past, which didn't even serve the people that sold us those deals in the first place. That's what we're eliminating. Any negative ideas which have a tendency to block the flow of creative energy to and through you. These are the things we've got to eliminate. We've got to say next. And like Linda shared, you got a negative thought. Great. Here's 3 positive ones. You must let go of all the obstructions that are hampering you. These release the mental kinks, and you will immediately find there is no lack of creative energy at the source. In truth, there never has been any, and there never will be any. So he's reassuring the reader. He's saying, look, trust me on this. You already got like way, way, way more. You just can't see it. It's occluded. It's kinked up. Yeah, something's wrong with the garden hose. There's only a little bit coming out. Well, you go unkink the hose. If you had a kinked hose and you knew the water supply was on, you would immediately go find the kink and you would straighten it out and you'd be able to water the garden. Hopefully that you'd sit there and bemoan, where's the water, right? But probably you're all a bit more resourceful than that. Why is it that we could sit there and not immediately address the kink in ourselves like we would in the garden hose? Because we agree. We friggin' agree with it. That's just how it is. There's limits to everything. Wow. He ends with this quote. I think this is the end. Yes. He ends with this quote, which I highlighted the whole thing. He's quoted Steve Bowe in just about every course Bob ever published. God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you will ever use in one lifetime. Your gift to God is to develop and utilize as much of that talent and ability as you can in this lifetime. So there's the reciprocation. So with the acknowledgement that the potential already is, and it's more than you can even use, your job, your gift back to source, don't make a spectacle of yourself. Do it. Do it big, loud, have an impact, have an effect. Be all you can be. You don't have to join the army. All right. Anyway, those are my highlights from that chapter. I don't know if any of you experienced the vacuum law or have had the guts to go into your clothes closet or to relieve yourself of something that is not your preference. Anybody? Catherine? Everybody's mic is on now. All right, Catherine first.
This I thought was well timed because I've been having this urge the last couple of weeks to just get rid of everything as we're packing. I'm just like, I don't want to take anything with me. I want to pack up. And my clothes closet, there's already like nothing left. I have like 3 outfits as it is. So
Okay.
My husband's side, on the other hand, is like packed. He's got more clothes than your average woman, I swear.
Wow.
But I just keep thinking, I want to pack it all up and just get rid of it. Just take it and make room for something else for what I really want.
Mhm.
So this
Okay.
might have been a bad one to read with my husband right now. He's going to be like, no, you can't give it away.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Bob did talk about the advantage of giving stuff rather than selling it.
Yes.
There's a line that I will say, all right, I'm going to sell it. Right. So I had a guitar that I've never played, touched it twice, maybe had it 10 years. It's worth $1,000. I didn't give it away. I sold it. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can use your own judgment on that. Linda and then Lindsay. Hey, Linda.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to touch on that too. How he said, to give it away, not to sell it. And I can remember an experience I had. I put something up on Facebook Marketplace. It was some baby thing, and the kid was like, "Well, can you take 25 instead of 40?" And I was like, "No, I want 40." And then I agreed to the 25. And when I got there, I was like, "You know what? I just take it. Just take it from me." And he's like, "Really?" And it was just like, I made the kid. It made me feel actually better to give it away than it would have to taken this kid's money. Yeah. Oh, it's our first baby, and this and that, But yeah, just but what you just said too. Something of high value. I think, yeah, there is a line there. I have to agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But just stuff that you have, it's just stuff. Like clothes from my closet. Yeah, I would give it away. I would try to sell it. Yeah. Just the stuff you got hanging, but something of value that's definitely, maybe art, or I got my son's Pokemon cards, and some of them have really high value. So I'm kind of like, what do I do with those? Do I keep those or do I sell those? Yeah. So for now, I'm keeping them.
Something like that. Yeah. I know some people have like old baseball cards and stuff that are worth a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, but
okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that you're releasing stuff, right?
Releasing stuff. Yeah. It makes me want to clean my closet again. Yeah. I was in there today going, oh boy, there is no room for anything. Time to let go. The thing I struggle with is my time. Like, I know that I need to let go of some work things that I do to make room for new work things.
Right.
So, yeah, that's where I get kinked up. Because
I just had that experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I need to let go, but I don't know. I don't have the faith which I need to get. So.
Well, that's what he said, right? Is that people hang on
Yeah.
because they don't have the faith that they can get the new thing.
Right. Yes.
Whether we're talking about a thing or an idea, right? Oh, I got to clutch onto these ideas. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. All right. So
and
now
it's kind of like, one door closes, another one opens. And I can't tell you how many times I've had that experience, yeah. Like instant.
Wow.
That door closed and boom, another one opened right up. So I've seen it, I've experienced it, but yet,
Yeah.
you gotta have that faith. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I'm done.
Thank you, Linda. Now we shall hear from my favorite Alabaman in all of Alabama.
Well, I have a 6 months rule. If you don't use it in 6 months, it's gone.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. My older son doesn't either. My husband and my younger son, yes, they're coming in. Did you get rid of? I'm like, I might have. You better find a place to put it because they're. But yeah, they used to come in. Did you get rid of it? I was like, it's a possibility. So I finally, I'm like, okay, if it's nice enough, I'll get rid of it. That's fine. I have no problem doing that. But if it's stuff that they haven't noticed, I literally put bags of stuff in the trunk of my car and I will just take it and drop it off at Goodwill. once a week. You know, I'll do that. And then when it gets pretty full, I'm like, okay, take it. But I just, even to sell it, I'm like, no, I want it gone. I want it now. Now, I have no problem doing that. I guess the thing that gets me is when you do have that faith, but then you see like, okay, you want to do this. You don't know how you're going to do this because you see the circumstances at this moment. That's the hard thing for me to, I guess, I mean, I have faith. I just, maybe it's not faith in myself to get it done. I'm not sure. But yeah, I loved these 2 chapters. They were, but indecision that's true. That's where you get the kinks in Alabama. It's a hose pipe. You get kinks in the hose pipe or water hose, whatever. But yeah, but it's real easy to see that and just you go straighten that out really fast and get the water flowing again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be that simple with our minds and anything we're blocking. It has to be. I know I'm not going to go any further than that. It has to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's a good affirmation, right? It has to be that simple. Which immediately I'm rejecting. I'm like, no, hold on. There's lots more complicated stuff, and it's all, you can't see it, right? So, well, next.
That's true. We can't see it, smell it, taste, touch it. No, but we do have the will, the vacuum lock, prosperity. We have the stuff. We have the tools to do that for other higher mental faculties.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just getting over ourselves. I think ourselves to.
You know what you're reminding me of, Lindsay, is having grown up with a certain religious dogma,
mm-hmm.
where I'm not even worthy to question it, right? And then getting into personal development and working with the law and studying a variety of philosophies, and being willing to abandon some of those dogmatic things or practices, things that clearly weren't serving me or the people who I got them from. So that was scary for me.
Yes, because it is.
Right. So in some cases, people are they feel obligated to cling on to a belief or and it may or may not be as extreme as something like that, like a guilt thing or
right.
But I think that's what came up for me while you were talking.
Well, and the thing that got me is I didn't grow up with those beliefs. I mean, I thought I was 6 foot tall and bulletproof, and I still do to some degree. But it's, my parents tell me you can do anything. Well, blank. You don't follow the crowd. If everybody's doing something you don't want to do it, by all means, please don't do it. Just you can do anything that you set your mind to. And my parents they really set a good example of that for me. But it says I've taken on more hats and responsibilities and have other people around that may not be as positive, or maybe just have the faith in me to do it. I mean, I'd like to say I don't care, but I do. But at the end of the day, I go back to I can do anything I want to do. It's like even with gymnastics, somebody told me you can't do that. I was like, we'll see. And I did it, and that some of that stuff wasn't really, it's kind of dangerous, but I love a good dare. So challenge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to challenge any negativity around me. So to
Awesome.
put a positive spin on it.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good stuff. Well, that concludes You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. You guys ready for some Dale Carnegie? Yeah. All right. Hey, if you're seeing this on YouTube, this is brought to you by the paying members of the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. Go check out JLSuccessmastermind.com and grab yourself a seat. Next book, Stop worrying and start living. Sounds like a nice segue. So we'll be back here next week. Be sure to read the first couple chapters. And ladies, thank you for joining me on this hot July summer's night. So I'm not sweating alone with my broken air conditioning system.
Mine did that 2 weeks ago, I think.
Mhm.
I got it fixed before my husband got home from work.
Wow.
And it went from like 70 degrees in my house to 88. And I was like, I was about to get in my car and turn on the air conditioner when the guy got here.
Right.
But
Right.
instead of keeping somebody worrying, though, I just handled it all and had everything done before he got home. It was cooling off.
Wow, that's great. Well, the guy's going to be here tomorrow morning. Yeah. So thank you again. Enjoy the humidity. And I'll see you all